Hello everyone, how are you doing? It's the latest video from Station to Station, my attic railway. I hope you had a great Christmas first of all, and I hope your new year is going well so far. Sorry I didn't get another video out before Christmas. I think I promised one where I'd run some trains, but you know what Christmas is like. That first week of the Christmas school holiday was quite chilled out, quite enjoyed it, and then the week of Christmas itself was just absolutely mental, of course, as I'm sure it was for everybody. So sorry about that, but here we are for another video. So thanks very much for checking it out. Made a certain amount of progress over the last couple of months, mainly getting a lot more done here in the station section, and also most importantly and most significantly, I finally got all the tracks done up on the top level there. In the last video I had those two tracks down the bottom, which you can see ballasted, and at the top there was no track at all. And I've been saying for quite a few months that my intention was to get all of that track done, but there's about £200 worth of track up there, so basically I had to save up for it. And I got it all. I got it all done. I got it all sent, and I spent a day up in the attic getting it put down. So what I'm doing here is all this footage is footage that I've filmed previously, and then obviously overlaying this commentary over the top. That was in the last video. Just a reminder to myself, really, just about the progress that I've made in the meantime. There's the little card wall there for the station. Ultimately, I want to replace that with plastic card, but it'll do for now. Anyway, so I've also got all of my accessories out, right? I had them all in a box, and I thought I'll get them all out, and I'll just put stuff in a very basic position where I quite fancy having it in the future, so that'll help me kind of model the landscape, etc. around it, which is why I've got little random bits and pieces placed around. You see down there on the station I've got some little bits of fences, not necessarily exactly where they're going to be, but and certainly not fixed in place. Same again with this little kind of warehouse depot section here. Just thought I'd get everything out, put it down, so I get a bit of an idea of where I want to go with everything. But nothing's set in stone yet. But yeah, just back to the top tracks there. It's a combination of Pico Flexi track and set track on some of the corners. I measured it out very carefully before I bought the track, and I'm delighted to say that I bought the exact amount of track that I needed, and the only leftover bits were a very small amount of offcuts of Flexi track, so my maths were perfect. The fish plates maths was not perfect, but it all worked out in the end. I actually glued this track down. I didn't nail it down. I glued it down by just drawing. You can just see between the sleepers there. I basically drew, if you like, with a squeezy PVA bottle, a very thin line, and then just put the track down on top of it. And that's a Pico approved method. But the reason I did that is because hammering it in, particularly on, say, the bridges and things like that, I didn't want to end up hammering the pins in too hard and damaging anything. I also didn't want to risk damaging the rails, because I've done that before. So by just gluing it down with a single line of glue down the centre, it holds it in place really well, but it also makes it really easy to pry up in the event that I move house, get a new layout, and want to reuse the track. Anyway, so yeah, as you can see here, I've still not managed to get any painting done, but just having those top two tracks down really feels good. I've also done a bit of extra little landscaping here and there, as one of my Twitter followers, Network Southeast Latchmere, pointed out. It looks like there's two corpses underneath on either side of the track there at the top, which is quite amusing. Excuse me, quite funny, but yes, I'll do a little bit more to make that look less like two dead bodies. Not on the Pepsi Max today, by the way. I'm on a coffee. It's very early in the morning, so excuse me while I have a quick sip of my hot coffee. That's my first coffee of the day. Right now, my wife and my youngest son have gone to work and school. My oldest son has had scarlet fever, I think, so he's actually asleep right now, which is why I'm speaking in kind of more hushed tones. I want to get this recorded before he wakes up. So yeah, anyway, tracks are down. Obviously the next job is to paint this plaster cloth and get that top track ballast. That is a shot from my last video 2 months ago. Not a great deal of difference there, apart from the extra track being down. But I do like to put these little previously shots in. Been watching a lot of videos on YouTube, of course, as always. Great inspiration from many of you, really keeping me going. And I did go through a phase in November where I wasn't getting much done, and that was because of the one TV show that I like to watch. I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here. It's my guilty pleasure of the year. So I had a bit of a break from the railway while that was on, because I was watching that every night. But now there's nothing again. And before next month, when the Winter Olympics are on, that's my other thing that I love to watch, because I like to ski, and I therefore like watching the Winter Olympics. I thought I'll get as much of this done as I can before the Winter Olympics starts. I've been doing more work over here as well. The little valley which drops down into what is supposed to be a harbour section, right down on the very bottom level there, which I'll come down to in a sec, and finish the bridge side there, which I'll paint grey and get a bit of rust on there as well, so that should look quite nice when it's done. This harbour bit, I've put this back scene in, not back scene, but I've used brick cards in the background. That's not finished. You can see the joins, that's going to be covered up and everything. Those little steps are off a Hornby signal box, which I thought looked quite nice there. And I'll put water down as well, that's the plan. And obviously still a lot to do there. I don't want any of the wood to be exposed. And but down there, the idea is that track, right now it goes through that tunnel mouth and stops, literally stops. So that track at the bottom is just something nice to look at. But one day in the future I hope it'll snake its way round to the opposite end of the loft. And come up to normal ground level at the other end. But that's for another day, maybe another year. A little bit of damage there on that lower bridge as well, which I need to repair. So just coming up, round it goes again. More set track on the corners. I might disguise the tighter corners with tunnels or something, because I don't really like them, but I couldn't really do anything else. And then up we go, 4 tracks through the station section. I'll have very thin platforms on particularly the right hand side there. And then what else have I been doing? Down on the bottom section, a friend of mine bought me some lights for Christmas. As regular viewers will know, I'm crazy about the lights. We're all crazy about the lights, aren't we? And it's really, really satisfying to see the lights go in. And they're all attached to a 12-volt source. All the wires actually underneath the baseboard are attached to a piece of track. And then the wires continue into one of the 12-volt outputs of the controllers. I think it was Mark Cordingley on Twitter who did that idea. So I totally stole that idea. So thanks for that, Mark. Another quick coffee swig. So yep, platforms are done, which I think look quite nice. Planks of wood, matchsticks glued on the side, and then scale scenes, brick papers over the top and over the sides, so I think that looks quite nice. I need to sort out the top of that very high retaining wall to kind of blend that in with a platform which will sit at the top for those 4 tracks. And it's really starting to come together now. The thing that I keep putting off is all that painting of that plaster cloth. You just look at it and think, oh, it's going to take ages, but I've got to get on with it. That looks nice, doesn't it? I'm going to get some more lights. I want to maybe have at least twice that amount of lights on the station altogether. I think they're actually street lights. And I've pulled them further down through the platform, and they look pretty nice. Those lights on the right hand side, I'm not sure whether they overhang the edge of the platform too much, so I'm thinking about turning them 45 degrees each. Let me know what you think about that. They are glued in position just to hold them steady, very gently, but they can be rotated quite easily. So yeah, here's just another example of some of the very basic landscaping that I've been doing, because what I want to do is disguise the fact that we go from a flat baseboard down the bottom, up a steep hill, to another perfectly flat baseboard. I don't want it to look fake like that. It doesn't look particularly natural, so over time, again, I want to kind of disguise that a little bit, and to just make it blend much more neatly in a realistic sense, and not so neatly in a, there you go, steep hill, flat. There's a bit more plaster clothing that I've done there as well, and again, down the end of the bridge there, the two mummified bodies when the track goes off the bridge back onto the higher ground level. But again, those trees, they're just placed in position, just messing around with what I've got to see what fits where, really. Now, running trains. Excuse me for a moment while I have another sip of coffee. So my little boy and I, we were so psyched last night because we went upstairs into the attic and we had a 20-minute running session, like 20 minutes non-stop, and nothing went wrong. All 4 tracks were running at the same time. Nothing broke down, nothing failed. It was the best day of my modelling life. They just love it when it all just works. But I'm going up there so regularly at the moment, I'm not giving anything a chance to break or to get too cold and have it stutter along, you know. But just seeing the 4 trains running around is a significant milestone for me, because you'll recall maybe in June last year the layout was completely different. I'd never done one before. I built one that at the time I thought was great, and then the more I watched YouTube videos of experts doing it, I realised that I could have done a much better job with a little bit more planning. So I started again, and man, I'm glad I did, because it's such a thrill to look at this, and as I say, I love learning from you guys on YouTube, and it's so nice because I get some really nice comments from other YouTubers all around the world, and it's an enormous motivator for me. So thank you for your continued interest and support. And you know, there's people look at this. You know, a friend of mine looks at this, and my wife occasionally looks up and says, "Oh, this looks great, well done." But I mean, you know, so much of the credit has to go to the YouTube community, because I've just done so many things up here that I wouldn't have done, and I wouldn't have thought of had I not been watching you guys' videos. I did credit Jason at Barnabas Junction for him being one of the primary reasons that I started all over again, because I really liked the different levels that he had. But there's some just great channels, and so thank you for giving me the motivation to do what I've done here. So what I hope to do next is get all of that white plaster cloth painted with a base layer of paint, base layer of scatter and things like that. Get that top track ballasted. It should really start looking like something that's real in the next 2 or 3 months. As I've said before, though, I am doing it on a budget, even though I am buying new stuff now. Previously I just bought second-hand stuff. I am buying new stuff, but I am saving up for it in advance, because my wife gets cross if I make large, if she sees a lot of money coming out the account, and instead of, you know, a week's shopping, I've bought, you know, 4 jars of ballast. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I'm going to sign off. Please do take some time to check out my other playlists of videos, particularly if you're new to the channel. Stay tuned. If you like this video, please drop me a like and drop me some comments. I'd love to know your thoughts and if you have any ideas. So thanks very much for watching again, and catch you on Twitter at S2S Attic Railway.